working with patients, people, Doctor.
When you say people, you mean living people?
You want the job, don't you?
Hi.
I'm Dr. Sayed.
I'm Wahida.
I'd like to ask...
I was born in 1911 in Kingsbridge, New York. Prior to July 1955, I resided at the Brooklyn Psychiatric Center, Brooklyn, New York.
How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. Prior to that, I was a person.
It gets easier. You don't think it will, but it does.
Can you hear me? Does he ever speak to you?
Of course not. Not in words.
No change, dated 9/11/44.
Your patients, Doctor, haven't moved in decades.
What I believe, what I know, is these people are alive inside.
Well, how do you know that, Doctor?
I know it.
I just wanted to say to you, I preferred your explanation.
At 200 milligrams, he showed no response. Maybe he needs more.
Maybe he needs less.
It's there. It's a miracle.
Where are my glasses?
They're on your face. I don't think that I could deal with losing 30 years of my life, could you?
You thought what you'd like to do today?
Everything.
Leonard, where are you going?
I would do all the things that you people take for granted. I'd go for a walk. I'd look at things. I'd talk to people.
You work here?
No, I live here.
You don't look like a patient.
I don't?
Girls. You're not married. Me?
Would you like to go out for a cup of coffee?
Yeah, kind of like movies like Come See the Paradise and The Long Walk Home. Awakenings, it was the best received of the three movies I just mentioned, but it didn't really get a big Oscar push, quite honestly. It was one of those movies where everyone thought it was going to be an Oscar contender. It was going to be another one where Robert De Niro and Robin Williams would get nominations, which I'm trying to see here. Well, Robert De Niro did get a Best Actor nomination, and this did get a Best Picture nomination, but Penny Marshall didn't get nominated. Neither did Robin Williams, and the only other nomination it got was a screenplay, and that was about it. Those were the only three nominations that it had. But yeah, like Come See the Paradise and The Long Walk Home, it's one of those movies that looks like an Oscar bait type of movie. It looks like a very cliched movie, but you really got to watch the movie. And Awakenings really is a lot better than I think a lot of people would have given it credit for, and it is because of these great people coming together with a really good story to tell. You know, you got Robert De Niro, you got Robin Williams, you also have a really good cast all around. You've got John Hurd, Julie Kavner from The Simpsons, Penelope Ann Miller, Max von Sydow. There's also cameos from people like Dexter Gordon from Around Midnight, Bradley Whitford, Peter Stormare, Vin Diesel in his earliest film role, Vincent Pastore. You also have Ruth Nelson here. Just a great cast all around, and a great script by Steven Sicilian, who would later go on to write the scripts for several other Oscar contenders, including Schindler's List is probably the biggest one. But he also wrote The Irishman, Moneyball, Gangs of New York, just these great movies all around, and Awakenings was one of his first real movies where he became noticeable. He also wrote The Falcon and the Snowman, which came out a couple years before this. But yeah, this is an overall really good movie. It's a great movie where you have all these great performances coming together. You have a really good story to tell based off of the book by Oliver Sacks. And the performances really do carry this over. Like, Robin Williams gives one of his best performances because he's not doing the typical Robin Williams stick like he did with Good Morning Vietnam and Dead Poet Society, which could be very funny, but it wasn't really a whole lot there that really was worthy of an Oscar-nominated performance. I mean, this is a performance where Robin Williams is at least trying for a more dramatic role, and I think it works very well for him. It's a shame he didn't get nominated because his speech at the end alone should have been enough to get him an Oscar nomination, but this is a good movie. You really do like the characters in this. You like the chemistries that Williams has with Julie Kavner's character. You also like the chemistry that De Niro has with Penelope Ann Miller's character. It has this nice look to it. It has a very somber tone, but an uplifting tone for most of the movie. It's a really good film. It's a movie that I think a lot of people should definitely check out more, which I think they do, but it's a shame that it didn't get enough attention back in 1990. I mean, this movie really could have been, I think, could have been a big Oscar contender, because it really is one of the best movies that came out in 1990. It's a really good film. Can't recommend it enough. Awakenings, fantastic film. Highly recommend checking it out. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie on this list here, and that is Larry Cohen's The Ambulance.
Killer is loose in New York City.
Somebody call an ambulance, okay?
Will you look at this computer printout? All missing persons reports in the last 2 weeks.
This is her Lieutenant.
What exactly do you think happened?
I don't know.
Did you do something to that girl yourself? You one of those psychopaths that kills girls and goes to the police to tell stories?
I don't know anything about you dead woman in the park, okay?
I was just trying to get away from that.
Now, one man has to find the truth.
They're gonna kill me!
An ambulance that picks up New Yorkers and they're never seen or heard from again. A vehicle of mercy that's really a murder machine.
What do you know?
What's wrong with you? If she found the ambulance, she's in trouble. What the hell is going on here?
Stay put. Don't go anywhere. Eric Roberts, James Earl Jones. The ambulance. If you call for help, you're dead.
Such a cornball movie, but I gotta tell you, I love the heck out of this movie. I saw this movie, and I was actually really surprised at how much I enjoyed this movie for just how silly, how ridiculous, but also just how it's insane. It's insane how this movie can both play itself out so seriously, but at the same time, it can be this serious dramatic thriller about this killer ambulance and these people that are killing these people out of the blue, and it just works surprisingly really well. This is Larry Cohen, who also directed another leftover film we looked at in '89, which was Wicked Stepmother, which had some good ideas to it, but I think this movie really shows what Larry Cohen could have done as a director, and unfortunately the movie didn't do so well. It's been largely forgotten, but has grown a recent following over the years thanks to Shout Factory's Screen Factory division putting it out on Blu-ray, which is how I saw the film, and I mean, it's a ton of fun. Eric Roberts is in this. James Earl Jones is in this movie, and they know what kind of movie this is. You also got Red Buttons. You also got Janine Turner from Northern Exposure in this. Eric Braeden. Now I can't remember if he was on Young and the Restless. Yeah, Young and the Restless. I never watched Young and the Restless, but I know that name sounded familiar. But yeah, it's a fun movie. It's a fun, silly movie. Stan Lee actually has a cameo in here too, I should say. Like I said, it's a fun movie. It's a silly movie. It's ridiculous. It's what I wanted Wicked Stepmother to be, quite honestly. And yeah, that's my thoughts on The Ambulance. Now let's get to a much more serious movie, and that is Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, starring Michael Rooker.
Did you really kill your mama?
What?
Did you really kill your mama?
I guess I did.
She must have treated you real bad.
She was a whore. You used to dance naked?
Sure, all the time around the house.
Otis,
Best little naked dancer you ever saw.
you never.
You telling me you never killed anybody before?
I ain't saying that.
Open your eyes and just look at the world. It's either you
Again. You know what I mean. Don't do that, Otis. She's your sister.
I feel like I know you. Like I've known you for a long time. I feel like I've known you forever and ever.
It's like the blood droppings from a deer you shot. And all they gotta do is follow those droppings, and pretty soon they're gonna find that deer.
I ain't interrupting it, man.
So yeah, this movie was one of the reasons why there was an X rating introduced in 1990, the other being Henry and June. But this has an interesting history behind it. This movie was actually shot in 1985. It actually premiered at the Chicago International Film Festival in '86 and played in other festivals throughout the rest of the decade. And then when they showed it in theaters at midnight screenings across the country, by 1990 they finally decided to put it out in theaters in limited national release. However, because the movie was so known for its controversy, it didn't have a huge release. It did have a limited release in an unrated version. It was actually shot on 16mm in less than a month, cost $110,000, and even after it was finally released to the public, it still had notable cuts to it that happened after the movie was even released. So yeah, it had a troubling history even after it came out in national release. I've only seen a little bits and pieces of it, but honestly, it definitely looks like it lives up to its name, but it also looks like a really good psychological horror thriller. I mean, Michael Rooker the scenes I've seen him in actually look like he's really given it his all, given this strong performance in this movie. It definitely shows in the little bits of footage that I've seen from this. I haven't seen the movie in full because largely I haven't been able to find a copy of it, but yeah, I would believe the people that say that this is one of the most disturbing movies ever made, and worthy of this controversy that it has behind it. But that's really the point of it. I mean, it's a movie that's basically in the title. It's a portrait of a serial killer. It's about this guy who gets motivated to be like the what am I even saying? He basically has to talk with this other guy who's also a serial killer in the making, and just the things that they go through in this movie from the little bits I've seen. I mean, this is a movie I would actually like to see at some point. I'm not going to rush out to see it, but it definitely has a lot of promise, I should say. So maybe one day I might check it out, but right now, yeah, for the little bits I've seen, it definitely looks very promising. So Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, that's the next movie on that list. But now let's get to another movie on the list, which is back to a far different end of the spectrum. The spoof comedy A Man Called Sarge, starring Gary Kroeger.
World War II, the only war with more Roman numerals than World War I.
Ah, swell.
It's an ambush! Hit the deck!
The only war big enough for Sergeant Duke Roscoe.
Sorry, I don't have anything smaller.
I do.
And a small band of elite fighting men.
Give me that!
You want to see some real fighting?
Yeah.
Happy? Yeah.
Major Leslie Browning, a man who shoots first and aims later. Private Willie Bearpaw, born to kill.
Next!
Private Irving Steinmetz, born to be killed.
Hey, fellas! Meet Irving Steinmetz!
Sadie Rayburn, she loves a man in uniform.
Kiss me, Sarge.
Any man,
Kiss me hard.
any uniform. They have no fear,
You should do this at least once a week.
no shame,
Very good, sir.
no chance. But their secret weapon is a man called Sarge.
You're so damn macho, Sarge. I love it.
A man called Sarge.
From the same genius mind that brought you Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 and also the Harlan Williams Rocket Man. Yeah, if Gary Kroeger's the biggest star in your movie, chances are this is not gonna end pretty well. I mean, other than him, you've got Mark Singer, you've got Jennifer Runyon, you've got Bruce Jenner is in here playing himself. Don LaFontaine is the narrator in this. And Natasha Lyonne actually makes her first credited film appearance in this as a young Arab girl. And she was actually living in Israel at the time. So, I guess that's interesting. But other than that, though, yeah, this movie looks pretty bad. I mean, this looks like a movie that many spoof movies at the time were trying to copy the Zucker formula. But really, the Zucker brothers had that strapped down to a T that it's hard for other movie studios to really try to copy that. We saw that many times during that year with Ski Academy and then Repossessed, and now this movie. Yeah, it just didn't work. You can see why it's kind of unknown. I don't even think it has a DVD release now. I think it only has been released on VHS, but yeah, there's probably a good reason why. So that's A Man Called Sarge. Acknowledge that movie exists. Let's go ahead and move on to the next movie. Corbin Bernsen and Ann Archer in Love at Large.
They say you can be trusted.
Who says I can be trusted?
I saw it in a phone book in the train station.
Harry Dobbs just took on a curious case.
Nothing like this has ever happened to me before, Mr. Dobbs.
Harry? Nothing like what?
He has to tail a cheating boyfriend.
I'm feeling frightened and unloved, naked to the world.
But the boyfriend is a husband who's two-timing his wife.
Son of a...
While she's two-timing him.
Don't turn your back on him, Mr. Dobbs.
Harry.
Unless you want to hold him.
Oh, I like that.
And hot on Harry's trail is a lonely detective without a clue about love.
I mean, we can discuss that book you're reading.
If you were born stupid, you're now having a relapse.
They're all about to learn a valuable lesson.
Oh, that's a relief.
There are no rules with Love at Large.
Thank you, Mr. Dobbs.
Life.
Tom Berenger.
Look, Mr. Dobbs.
Harry.
This is not ethical.
If we were discussing ethics, it'd be pretty silent here.
Elizabeth Perkins.
Maybe we can help each other.
We?
Yeah, you need a dictionary, you and me.
Ann Archer.
Is there a chance for you and me? Would we be glad and dizzy all the time? Or would we destroy each other?
Glad and dizzy. Miss Dolan, get on the train.
Kate Capshaw, Annette O'Toole, and Neil Young.
Who's this guy? Who's this guy? Oh! Good.
In a new film from Alan Rudolph.
Did you hear that?
Only the pounding of my heart.
Love is strange. And about to get stranger. Love at Large.
Another one that I haven't really seen, but I don't know. I mean, part of me wants to think that I know what's going to happen and what the twist is going to be, but at the same time, I do like this concept here. Apparently, this is a movie that's set in the present, but it feels like the past, so it has the feeling of like a 40s detective movie, but set in the 90s, so I don't know, it could be interesting. And it's got a good cast involved. Tom Berenger, Elizabeth Perkins, Ann Archer, Kate Capshaw, Annette O'Toole, Ted Levine, Neil Young, Ruby Dee. Just a great cast all around here, and I don't know, I mean, it has some potential. I mean, it looks like a movie that may go the route that you might think it might go. I mean, that's what I was thinking when I saw this trailer. I honestly think that, having not seen this movie before, looking at it, I would think that either Ann Archer's the person who's involved in, who did most of this, or it's Elizabeth Perkins' character. But, like I said, who knows? Maybe it's something completely, maybe I'm just missing something altogether, but I don't know, it might be worth checking out one day. I mean, it's directed by Alan Rudolph. Alan Rudolph is a guy that has done some decent stuff over his career, like stuff like, no, I can't remember what he did. I thought maybe Alan Rudolph did some stuff. I'm looking at the Wikipedia page just to make sure, just to see what he did, and I'm not seeing anything notable here, unless I'm missing something altogether, but, yeah, Alan Rudolph directed, but I don't know, I'm just going by the trailer, maybe it's got some potential here. I'm sorry, I gotta be more prepared for this stuff, man. But anyway, that's Love at Large. It's a movie that exists. Did I even say Tom Berenger? I think it said Corbin Bernsen. I'm thinking of Corbin Bernsen, not Tom Berenger. I don't know if I said it or not, but I'm so confused right now, and I could just redo this all over again, but screw it. it's a movie I haven't seen before, so I can't really comment on it, so let's just get that out of the way. Let's just go to the next movie, and that is Side Out.
Clark came to California to play the corporate game. All he wanted was to be a lawyer.
Not to mention your basic power breakfast and your endless cocktail parties.
And make a few contacts.
Monroe,
Yes.
come with me.
Okay.
Deadbeats. Liars. Scum. Criminals. Tenants. Your job is to serve these deadbeats with a notice to pay or quit.
Then he met Zach Barnes.
Trying to evict Zachary Barnes?
The bottom line is you're an undesirable tenant.
You're not much fun either. He is the original king of the beach.
And he soon discovered it was more fun to play. C. Thomas Howell, 30-somethings Peter Horton, Side Out, the ultimate beach movie.
Or as this movie should be called, the volleyball scene of Top Gun meets Point Break meets every bad 80s and 90s beach movie. I mean, wow, they aren't even hiding the fact that they're just ripping off so much from different movies. I mean, they even took the Playing with the Boys song from Top Gun, for God's sake. This is also the last film produced by Aurora Pictures, the company that, when they started, they co-produced The Secret of NIMH, which is easily their best movie because they also did Heart Like a Wheel, the two Eddie and the Cruisers movies, and Maxie, and as you can tell, not many of those movies are really memorable, and except for The Secret of NIMH, of course, which is a classic movie on so many levels, one of my favorite movies of all time. But, yeah, Side Out, it's a movie that exists, and it's basically, like I said, pretty much every 80s, late 80s, early 90s sports movie mixed with, again, the volleyball scene from Top Gun and Point Break, kind of. Yeah, I really don't know too much about this movie, so just wanted to acknowledge that it exists. It also has Courtney Thorne-Smith and Harley Jane Kozak, so that's something, I guess. And I've got nothing else for it, so let's go ahead and move on to the next movie. I'm doing wonderful today, by the way. Let's go ahead and move on to the next film. Sandra Bernhardt's Without You, I'm Nothing.
Presenting the movie that's been called astonishing and bizarre, outrageously funny, hilarious, a true original. Sandra Bernhardt stars in the motion picture Siskel and Ebert gave 2 thumbs up. Sandra Bernhard, Without You, I'm Nothing.
So this is basically just a staged version of the off-Broadway show that Sandra Bernhard did back in the day. And it does and I will say this, it's a very interesting movie. It's one of those movies where it looks like it's trying to be another Richard Pryor or Eddie Murphy stand-up movie where they're trying to mix a scripted material with unscripted material. But I will say this: it does look pretty interesting. It's a movie that I think does have a lot more potential than some of these other stand-up movies that we'd later get. Like, it's No Dice Rules, which comes out in '91. We'll eventually get to that one, and you'll see why that one doesn't work. But I don't know. This one looks like it could be a ton of fun. Plus, I like Sandra Bernhard. When she's on screen, she usually is very likable, and she does have a ton of funny moments on screen. Not all the time she was used pretty well, but I mean, for the most part, whenever she's on screen, she actually is really funny, and I do like her comedy a lot, and her style of comedy, so I mean, yeah, this could be something that could be a lot of fun to watch, so I'll definitely check that one out at some point. So let's go ahead and move on to the last movie, and that is Tommy Chong's Far Out Man.
My dad's got weird eating habits, so don't take food if he offers it to you.
He's a gourmet?
You'll see.
Some fathers know best.
You're really tense, man. I bet you eat meat.
This father knows less.
You're somewhere between plankton and toaster.
Now,
Hey, where'd the road go?
the moving story of a man in search of his long-lost son.
His legal name is Jimmy Henry Eric Clapton.
I named him after all the guitar players I know.
His long-lost wife.
Tree. Exactly what kind of tree is this? Blonde, blue eyes, nice personality. So this tree is a woman. Tree.
And his long-lost brain.
Amazing. Okay, did it. He tried to kill me with his guitar. I gotta get this thing fixed.
Tommy Chong. Ray Dawn Chong.
Do you think I, Princess Clitora, would really let you lick my...
C. Thomas Howell.
No, I will not take no for an actor!
Are you an actor?
Martin Mull.
You will like this film. You will tell a friend.
And introducing Bill.
Geez, I forgot which one's yours. Oh, yeah, you choose.
In the movie that proves no brain, no pain.
Far out, man.
You know, it's funny how the tagline for this movie is no brain, no pain, because this movie looks like it was written by a guy with no brain and has no pain to him. What the heck was that? I mean, this is weird even for Tommy Chong. I mean, Tommy Chong, him and Cheech and Chong have made some weird comedies before, but they looked at least funny. This movie just looks bizarre on so many levels. So an aging hippie goes on a road trip in search of his long-lost family. He meets his son, played by Tommy's real-life son, Paris. They go off to see America. A majority of Tommy's real-life family have roles in here. Ray Dawn Chong plays herself. His wife Shelby's in this as an ex. Cheech Marin is also in this movie. He makes a cameo. But, yeah, I couldn't tell you if this is any good or not, because this looks so weird. It looks so bizarre. It's just... It's insane looking. I don't know what they were going for here. I mean, like I said, Cheech and Chong have made some weird comedies that were funny, but I don't know. There's stuff that they did separately didn't really turn out that well. I know Cheech Marin did Born in East LA, which wasn't all that good, and this doesn't look really all that promising, at least to me. I mean, who knows? Maybe it has a cult following because it is Cheech and Chong can be very funny together. But, I don't know. This is one I'm not going to rush out to see, but I do at least acknowledge that it did come out in 90 and deserves to at least be talked about as a notable film in 1990, so there you go. That's Far Out Man.
For Leon, life has no mercy.
I never gave up my family. I need to see my brother.
He needed you, and you weren't there.
Just give me 1 week to get the money for them. 1 week. Your time was up in the desert.
Ain't no rules here, man. Anything goes.
That 5,000 won't go as far as he thinks.
Check it out, Dorothy. We ain't in Kansas no more.
I like the way you fought the other night.
You don't know.
Let's get crazy.
There's no rules. Anything is possible.
There is no choice. He must go. A-W-O-L. AWOL. Van Damme is absent without leave. AWOL. Coming soon to a theater near you.
Unless you saw this in another country, then it was called Absent Without Leave, AWOL, along with some other titles. I'm looking right here, Wrong Bet, Leon. They had all these different titles for this movie. But here in America, we got it as Lionheart, and yeah, it's a so bad it's good type of movie. It's not really anything too spectacular or something that you haven't seen Jean-Claude Van Damme do in his other movies like Bloodsport and Double Impact or Kickboxer. But it is what it is. It's over the top, cheesy 90s action fun, but it's a good type of 90s cheesy action fun. It's a type of movie you can watch on Spike TV in the mid 2000s. What if it's on TV? There's nothing else on a Saturday afternoon, and you watch it, and you come back out of it going, "Well, that was a ton of fun. That was a ton of fun. It was silly fun." A lot of Jean-Claude Van Damme's movies were like that. Not a whole lot of them were all that great, but they were good fun, good over-the-top cheesy fun, and you kind of knew that he was in on the joke, but he never really took it too seriously as an actor. He was just having a good time with it. He's the anti-Steven Seagal. Like, every time you see Steven Seagal do a action movie, whether it's a theatrical release or a direct-to-video release, it always felt like he was trying to be so serious and so not play this over the top. He had to be a straight man in this movie, and it's just like, yeah, sometimes that worked, but other times not so much. And that's pretty much, it's nothing like what Jean-Claude Van Damme does. I think there is a sense that he's in on the joke, but he knows that he can still be a decent action star if he really wants to, and he does show it a couple times in his earlier movies, and especially in the movies he would make with Universal. This is one of the first ones where he would make a streak of movies with Universal, and very rarely did he go all too serious for a role, which didn't pan out very well. But he did do it at some points, but we'll get to those when we get further down the line. But, I don't know, Lionheart was kind of fun. It's a movie that, it is what it is. If you go in there with the least bit of expectations of something serious and uplifting or something like that, or just, if you want to just go in there for some cheesy 90s over-the-top action fun, you'll definitely get it here. So that's pretty much what I have to say about Lionheart. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is Sally Field and Alfred Molina in Not Without My Daughter. And, oh boy, there's so much to talk about with this one.
Sit on Daddy's lap. Well, it's my turn. You always sit on Daddy's lap.
Don't fight over me, girls. You know, I was born in Prussia. Well, they call it Iran now.
Rudy, it scares me.
All I want to do is go for 2 weeks with you and Martov and visit my family.
In 1984, Betty Mahmoudi's husband took her and her daughter to Iran to meet his family.
It's all changed.
He swore they would be safe.
I know it's a different culture. I just don't understand it.
He swore they would be happy. He swore they'd be coming home soon.
Sweetheart, you haven't packed anything. You want me to do it for you?
No.
He lied.
I don't know how to say this to you. We're not going back. We're staying here. I want us to live in Iran.
What, are you crazy? We're Americans. Your daughter's an American.
I know it's the right decision if you just give it a chance.
No, I won't stay here. You can't.
Now, you listen to me. You're in my country now. You're my wife. You do as I say. You understand me?
If you marry an Iranian man, you automatically become an Iranian citizen.
I've told you before, you don't touch the phone and you don't leave the house.
The laws regarding women are very strict.
It is your duty to tell your husband everything. You cannot have secrets.
You have no rights to the children.
I'll be with you. I'll help you.
If they catch you trying to escape with your daughter, they could execute you.
There are 3 principal ways out of Iran.
I promise you I won't leave you.
You'll never see Martov again. Do you understand me?
Dear Lord, hear our prayer. Please help us leave Iran and get back to America. Please let nothing separate us. Keep us always safe in your care.
He's gonna kill me. He's gonna kill me.
We must go now.
Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer proudly presents Academy Award winner Sally Field. In the terrifying true story of a mother and her daughter whose only crime was being American.
I want my baby.
Not without my daughter.
So, where do we even begin with this movie? Well, first of all, Alfred Molina is not an Iranian. He was born in London, England. So, first mistake number 1. I don't care how much you can try to put as much makeup on him as you can. There's no way you're going to make Alfred Molina look like he's playing an Iranian physician as he does in this movie. Second of all, man, this movie has so much TV movie of the week quality to it. I have no idea who thought it would be a good idea to put this on a big screen and think it's going to be any kind of a success. Like, you know that someone at MGM saw this and said, we got to put this in theaters. This is going to be our big prestige Oscar film of the year. And it gets shipped off to the jumping on of January, and you could probably see why. Third, unfortunately during this time period, we also had the beginning of the Persian Gulf War, which I know technically that this doesn't really connect to that, but yeah, chances are people aren't going to want to go see a movie like this when we're literally in an actual war at the time. So, yeah, do I even need to explain why this movie is so terrible? I mean, my God, it's just, maybe there was a good idea here, maybe, but everything about this trailer, this movie, everything, all the way down to the music, and you got Jerry Goldsmith, who's one of the great composers of all time, half-assing it. I mean, everybody's just half-assing it, trying to pass this off as an Oscar prestige movie when it really isn't. Everybody's acting like I said, it feels like a TV movie of the week. This feels like something you would see on CBS, NBC, or ABC, or even Fox as the movie of the week, and it's just like, well, nobody's meant to take it too seriously. I mean, it would be a TV movie, but no, this is on the big screen. This is supposed to be a movie that we're supposed to notice, we're supposed to take part in, and it's just, there's just nothing there, and it's just so manipulative. It's so, there are parts that are even kind of offensive to a lot of religions in this movie, and just the treatment of women in general. This guy took his wife and his daughter to Iran basically to essentially be kidnapped, pretty much. And I mean, it just doesn't make sense. The story seems fascinating and it could work with the right people involved, but I don't know what they were thinking when they made this movie like it is. This movie just feels like something that, you know, that somebody just wrote a half-assed script, just put it together, didn't think it was going to get anywhere, and then someone says, okay, this is good enough for theatrical release, and it's just like, here it is right here, and it's just like, it plays it way too, I don't know what, it's like, it plays it too safe, but at the same time, they don't know how safe they want it to be, because it's just like, well, we can't offend too many people with this. It's like, well, you're not doing a very good job at it, because you've completely missed the purpose of what you were trying to accomplish here altogether. I mean, yeah, this movie just looks terrible. It looks terrible on so many levels, and the only noteworthiness I could get from this is that at least you got a Terrence and Phillip episode in the second season of South Park called Not Without My Anus, but yeah, other than that, though, this is one of those movies that just looks like it was so easy to ridicule and criticize and just laugh at for trying to be taken so seriously, and just end up so miserably miscalculated on so many levels. It's just Not Without My Daughter. It's a movie that exists in film infamy. So, with that said, let's get on to the last movie, and that is Warlock.
In a time of fear and suspicion,
you choose to admit your crimes before man and God?
his coming was foretold. Now, he is here.
You know the signs. You are bewitched.
He has the face of an angel,
Channel me a spirit.
the charm of the devil,
Hear me when I say he's evil. Evil absolute.
and the powers of a god. Satan also has one son.
Were you the first to have laid eyes upon the new Messiah?
Now, an enemy from his past.
Who appointed you executioner?
And a girl from the prison.
You know what he's capable of.
Next time he's gonna kill me.
I'll not let him harm you.
Are the only hope for the future. This
adventure that could set the world on fire. Warlock.
Well, this looked like a whole bunch of different things. This is one of those movies where we've talked about a couple of these movies where they try to combine so many different popular things at the time. Like this looks like a mix between Highlander, The Terminator, and I completely forgot what the last movie I was going to think of was. Maybe The Exorcist, maybe? I'm not sure, but you get the idea. It feels like they've combined all these movies together into just this one film. And maybe it was Evil Dead I'm thinking of, because there was definitely some Evil Dead-like type of effects in this movie, and you can definitely see it in the trailer for this. But, as far as the movie itself goes, I mean, it looks like one of those movies where it looks pretty cheesy, it looks pretty corny, but at the same time, it's one of those movies that could have this cult following to it, maybe. And I could definitely see that. I mean, it doesn't look terrible. I mean, at least it looks a little bit promising from that trailer right there. Maybe it's just because I like Percy Rodriguez narrating it, because anytime that man narrates a trailer, you get hooked in. Like, you're automatically hooked into what they're trying to sell you, and it's just like, I mean, it could go. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's not as good as I think it is. Maybe there's a lot of people that don't. Maybe it doesn't have that big cult following that I'm thinking of. But I mean, it looks promising. It looks pretty promising. This is written by David Twohy, who also would write Pitch Black and the Chronicles of Riddick movies, and Steve Miner, who would direct the Friday the 13th sequels, parts 2 and 3. He also did things like House, which is a big horror cult classic, Soul Man, and it actually had 2 movies released in 91, because this actually was filmed in 89 and went to international release throughout much of 1990 before it actually got a release in 91. And I think this was one of his last horror movies for a while, until, because in the same year he had another movie, Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken, and that started a streak of like these different comedies and dramas, and very rarely he would return back to horror. He did it like 3 times. Actually, I take that back. He did it 3 out of the last 5 times he directed a movie. He did Halloween H2O, Lake Placid, and then Day of the Dead, the 2008 version. And but yeah, so like I said, I don't know. Like I said, I don't really know too much about the cult status of this movie. I assume it has one, but I don't know. It looks pretty promising enough. So one day I might check it out. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Warlock just from that trailer alone.
The men who fly the A6 intruders in Vietnam are as calm in the air.
It's going to be the most exciting thing you've ever done with your clothes on,
as they are on the ground. Jake.
Yeah, I learned this when I was a hippie.
Razor.
Got room here for a 6-pack and a pizza? Sure, Taylor. Okay.
Yeah. Cole.
You got the DFCN and Silver Star down here.
Does it matter?
Caparelli.
I got the name because somewhere in my past there was a wop in the wood pile.
Nerve made them confident. The rules of engagement held them back.
What's your problem, mister?
Well, I don't think trees in a suspected truck park is worth a man's life.
They send you here to stroke the widow. You get in your airplane and fly away alone. Sometimes you don't come back.
I'd like to introduce you to the replacement crew.
We just call them new guys. We used up all the good names.
I don't like the targets either. I hate them.
You tell me you're interested in payback.
It's right across the square from the National Assembly. Sam City, man.
Just say we happen to pull it off. Maybe some other guy somewhere will get a chance to die in their sleep.
Heroes, you don't have the right to make up your own orders.
This war's become very confusing. Maybe for me, personal, because I do know the difference between dying for something and dying for nothing.
You know what's going on back home. Riots, people spitting on soldiers in airports. The whole country's tearing itself apart. All we really got is each other. Let's go downtown.
Danny Glover.
Yeah!
You know something I don't know?
Willem foe. Brad Johnson.
I grounded you. Hey, I am on the ground.
Rosanna Arquette.
You got a chance alone.
You're going back to your wife and kids.
Flight of the Intruder.
Yeah, it's almost never a good sign if your movie is supposed to come out in summer 1990 and it's delayed to shoot a new ending to appease audiences. That's what the producer of this movie did, Mace Newfield, who also did Hunt for Red October. He also didn't want it to compete with Memphis Belle and Air America, which, I mean, all three of these movies came out within 6 months of each other, so kind of missed the point on that one. And, yeah, the movie just isn't good. I mean, it takes the story from the original book and creates a lot of plot and continuity errors. The special effects are terrible. The actors in this movie, they get paid a lot of money, but they really don't do anything that's spectacular in here. They're just there to pick up a paycheck and just move on. This is like it's a bad movie. It's a really bad movie. I want to say it's a low-rated Top Gun knockoff, but we've already had several Top Gun knockoffs in this past year alone, with Navy SEALs, and then Firebirds, Days of Thunder, and now this. It just doesn't work. It's a movie that just doesn't work. You never get into these characters. You never get invested in the situations going on. You never get interested in the fight sequences or the action sequences because they're so cheap and lazy. And for a $30 million movie to be this cheap and lazy in 1991 it's just not acceptable. It's just like, yeah, I expect a lot better from this. It's just like, this is just one of the reasons why January is known as the dumping ground of movies, and this is exactly why. This is one of those movies that looks so cheap, so lazy, it just fails on so many levels. So that's my thoughts on Flight of the Intruder. Let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, which is Disney's White Fang, based off the book by Jack London.
There comes a time in a young man's life.
You up there for the gold?
You got that right.
Well, it's out there. Just wait for somebody to pick it up.
When he must face the world alone. He must discover who is the enemy and who is his friend. Both man and wolf must learn the first rule of the wild: survival. And as they grow, they will discover that the greatest secret of survival is friendship.
All he needs is a little bit of kindness.
In a land where nature was the greatest challenge, they shared an incredible adventure.
Holy mackerel.
Burn him out.
From Jack London's thrilling story, Walt Disney Pictures presents Ethan Hawke of Dead Poets Society and One Extraordinary Wolf. In Jack London's White Fang, together they found the courage to survive.
You know, while some might say this Disneyfies Jack London's story, tones down the violence so that kids can enjoy it, I don't know. I thought it did a pretty good job with it. I think Ethan Hawke does a very good job in this movie playing the main guy, Jack Conroy, and I like the chemistry with him and the dog. The dog in this movie, I like the dog a lot in this movie. White Fang, who's played by Jed. That's the name it is on the Wikipedia page. But I like the chemistry that he and Ethan Hawke had together. You can really feel this friendship that they have during the course of the movie. The movie looks visually gorgeous too. The winter shots in this movie usually will look very good in a movie like this. And it's got a great cast too involved in it as well. You got Klaus Mann, Maria Braunauer, Seymour Cassell, James Vermeer, Bill Moseley. Some really good people casted all around this movie. And it is a good movie. It's a very solid film. It does tone down the violence. It does tone down the heavier moments that you usually see from a Jack London story. But like I said, it doesn't hurt the overall film experience of the film itself. It is an enjoyable film. You can take your kids to it, and they would definitely really enjoy it. I did enjoy the film for what it is. I think it is a well-made film. It's a well-intentioned film. It does just enough to get by with a recommendation. It's White Fang. It's a pretty good movie. So let's go ahead and move on to the last movie, and that is Eve of Destruction, starring Gregory Hines.
Jim, you're about to be brought in on this country's best-kept secret.
They thought of everything.
She's designed to be deployed in hostile countries.
But the unthinkable.
When we eventually do find her, how do we switch her off?
It's not as simple as that, Colonel.
They planned everything. But the unimaginable.
This one's not going to go away quietly, sir.
A bullet through either eye should terminate all motor activity.
They controlled everything.
Stay down!
But the inconceivable.
We've got to be right about New York. Otherwise, a lot of innocent people are going to die.
Get out of the way!
Only one man can stop the Eve of Destruction. Gregory Hines. Eve of Destruction.
And the award for the single stupidest casting decision ever made, Gregory Hines as Colonel Jim McQuaid in Eve of Destruction. I mean, wow, this was bad casting all around. Not for Gregory Hines. I mean, Gregory Hines has proven he can be a really great actor. He's been in stuff like Wolfman, The Cotton Club, White Nights, but he's just poorly cast in this movie. You have him going up against a robot antagonist, and you just don't buy him as this character whatsoever. But it also doesn't help that the movie is complete and utter stupidity. It's one of the stupidest things you can ever see, because it takes what should be a simple idea and turns it into such a terrible knockoff of it's basically a female Terminator, but without any enjoyment or anything remotely exciting about it whatsoever. This movie can't even promote itself right. When they promoted this movie's release in 1991, they literally did a TV spot where it was nothing but a rap. A pointless rap that has nothing to do with the movie itself, and I am not kidding about this. And I actually have the clip right here to show you, so take a look.
Danger from a mysterious stranger. Millions would die if someone doesn't change her plan. There's a lethal come, got death on the mind, so we better find a hero before the clock hits zero.
We've got to be right about New York. Otherwise, a lot of innocent people are going to die.
She's a nuclear device. You best believe destruction's a vice in the name of Eve. Yo, Eve of Destruction. Rated R. Starts Friday, January 18th at theaters everywhere.
Yeah, they had no idea how to sell this movie. A marketing executive looked at this and said, I don't know, just put rap music on it. That's what the kids like. Here, I'll write a rap and it'll take 5 seconds to write. Here, just go. Let's get this over with. It's just like, they had no idea how to sell this movie. They didn't want to sell this movie. They just wanted it to come out and then just go away. And unfortunately for them, that's exactly what happened. This movie bombed, and you could see why. It's a stupid premise. It's bad casting. It's a bad way to market your film. So why even put the money into it? Honestly. So, honestly, that's all I got to say about this movie. I mean, Eve of Destruction, it's just, what more do I even need to say about it? It's a bad movie altogether.
I must be the luckiest guy alive.
Fly me to the moon and let me play.
I've got one daughter safely married off.
Marry an affair.
I'm not listening to this with a mutual friend.
I've got a beautiful wife.
What is this? You told me you're a big hockey star in high school.
Field hockey. And another daughter still looking.
I want you to say you are the woman who will change my life.
I think my life's pretty good.
You okay?
Can I sleep with you and Daddy?
Sure. Why don't you get your pillow, honey, and come in?
Then one day, Renata met Sam.
Let me shake the hand of the first man that my little rosebud ever loved.
I wasn't afraid to excite you any more than I did already.
Fuddy-duddy sex goddess.
Sam, who's the guy?
Who is this incredibly well-dressed guy?
My new boyfriend.
No, come on, who's he really?
I, of course, was born in the 40s. That's why I have such intense passions.
God, what do you think?
I think you should take it slow.
That's it.
Oh, Joe!
Imagine that guy on a day-to-day basis.
You're gonna get plenty of chances to get to know me.
Does anyone care that Renata's spending day and night with some bozo?
Dad!
We don't know a thing about this guy.
I hope you both have a lifetime of great sex and joy.
He's living with us for some weird reason.
I'm sick of it. Sick.
Now you have had free reign over us, but I'm telling you, as of this moment, it's over.
You're tearing us all apart.
Renata, no one can tear your family apart.
That man, I love that he's different. This is my adventure, Dad. If you don't get it, well, I'm sorry.
Universal Pictures
First aid!
and Cinecom Entertainment present Richard Dreyfuss, Holly Hunter, Danny Aiello, Laura San Giacomo, and Jenna Rollins in a new film from Lasse Hallström, director of My Life as a Dog.
I had the greatest time of my life.
Come on,
Once Around.
Or as Box Office Mojo for some reason decided to call it Rich and Died, which I guess was the working title for this, but Box Office Mojo screwed up again. Like, I'm telling you, ever since they had that rebranding a few years ago, they've gone down the toilet so badly. I mean, how do you screw that up? I mean, this movie wasn't even promoted as that title that they have on there, but no, this is Once Around. This is Richard Dreyfuss and Holly Hunter in their first movie together since Always, and it's a movie that I really do like. It's a movie that really also shows how good of a year for comedy it was in 1991. There were a lot of good underrated comedies that came out in 91. There were some great comedies that came out in 91. It was overall a really good year for comedic movies in general, and this movie is a perfect exception of one of the more underrated ones, I should say. Because this is a very underrated movie. This is a great movie that not a lot of people really talk about. It barely got a DVD release. It only got a small DVD release, and actually the only way I found this movie was actually when the Oops outlet was at the Prime Outlets that I went to a couple years ago. And I'm glad I found it because it was a really good movie. There's really a lot about this movie that I think a lot of people missed out on. There's great performances all around. You have Richard Dreyfuss and Holly Hunter with some really good chemistry together. I mean, it's a movie about where Holly Hunter is a younger woman who falls in love with this older guy played by Richard Dreyfuss, and they end up getting married, and the family is very confused about who this guy really is, and it's one of those kooky comedies like that, rom-coms that it's very much like that. And like I said, Dreyfuss and Hunter worked very well off each other. You saw that a little bit in Always, but this movie, I think it definitely works a lot better. You also have Danny Aiello and Jenna Rollins playing Hunter's parents, and they're pretty good as well. You also have Laura San Giacomo from Just Shoot Me and Sex, Lies, and Videotape as the sister. And like I said, it's a really funny movie. It's a movie that I don't think a lot of people really know about, but I think people really do need to go and check out because it definitely is a really good movie. It's a very underrated film. I'm sure you can find it online on YouTube or Amazon to watch on there for free. I don't know if it's available on any streaming services as of right now, but definitely seek this one out if you can. Once Around, this is Lasse Hallström's first movie as an American film, I should say. We talked about last month, he also was going to be the director for Mermaids, but he passed on that to do this movie. And honestly, I think that was the right call. I think this movie really shows what he could do as a director, because he would later follow this up with What's Eating Gilbert Grape a couple years later, along with a couple of other movies as well. But this is a great early start for him as he branches into like more American feature films after he did My Life as a Dog. Like I said, Once Around is a really good movie. Definitely seek it out if you can. You're really missing out on a very good underrated gem. And don't care what Box Office Mojo says. It's not called Rich and Die, which is a terrible title to begin with. But it's called Once Around. So that's Once Around. Let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is Charlie Sheen and Martin Sheen in Cadence.
Left. Prisoners, close ranks.
Private Bean is out of step with the Army.
Do you have a problem, soldier? I'm through soldiering.
But when he lands in the stockade...
You think maybe he'll change his mind when he meets his new roommates?
I believe he'll change his mind, Sergeant.
He will march to a different drum.
Watch yourself in there, man.
Yeah, come on down, Bean. I'd like to introduce you to the rest of the gentlemen.
Keep it right there, Jerry. That's the sound of the man working on the chain. That's the sound of the man working on the chain. Gang. Can you hear me say?
Oh boy, this is gonna be fun.
Slow down, this is gonna be a picnic, sir.
That's what I'm talking about. We all choose sides eventually.
Oh, man. Did I tell y'all about this dream I had the other night?
I bet you're gonna tell us about it.
Oh, bro, this was a woozy. I dreamt I woke up and I was white.
Get out of here.
That ain't no dream, man. That's a nightmare. I'm still my main man.
We are all in here together. You dig it?
I dig it.
I knew that you could. I'm not as good as your color, but I hate everything you stand for.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Wait a minute. So you've chosen a team after all, huh?
What's the problem?
You chose the wrong one.
I'm leaving. That's the sound of the man working on the chain.
There goes the name.
Yeah, probably another reason why most actors shouldn't really do directing unless you really know what you're doing. Like, we can't all be Ron Howard. We can't all be Jordan Peele. Martin Sheen is definitely neither one of those guys. I mean, this is a weird movie. I don't know if it's supposed to be a comedy or a drama or both or what the heck is going on here, but I mean, it's a weird movie. It's a weird movie that really doesn't work as well as I think they wanted it to. Charlie Sheen has given it his best here. Lawrence Fishburne's also given it his best here, but there's really nothing here that makes a whole lot of sense. Like, Martin Sheen plays this strict drill sergeant, and it's like, what was his plan here to begin with? It's just like, what was his plan to begin with? What was he trying to do to Charlie Sheen's character? And I mean, I don't know. Judging by this trailer, I mean, it really doesn't seem like they knew what they were doing, and even the people who were editing this trailer together probably didn't know what the hell they were doing. So they just put that together, tried to sell it as like a comedy, drama-esque type of thing. But yeah, I never even heard of this movie until I looked it up. So that should probably tell you everything you need to know about this movie. So that's Cadence for you. So let's go ahead and move on to the last movie, and that is Men of Respect.
Mike Battaglia is a soldier of the streets. Brutal. Respected.
You find Mike Battaglia before they lay a hit on him, and when you find him, you treat him as a man of respect.
In his world, power is the final reward.
Tell me you don't want it.
I don't know what you're asking. Mikey?
I did it.
Between a man and his woman.
What is it with me? I can't stop shaking. It's done.
They got him crowned already.
Between a man and his army.
There's a war going on here!
Battaglia is mine.
Lies a war of deceit.
No! I'm gonna make them regret the day they were born!
Good luck right out, Mikey.
John Turturro, Catherine Borowitz, Dennis Farina, Peter Boyle, and also starring Rod Steiger. Men of Respect, a William Wiley film rated R. Starts Friday at select theaters.
So the movie is basically Macbeth mixed with Goodfellas and The Godfather, and that's not a bad idea, honestly, but I don't know, the execution here just didn't work for me. I mean, I saw this movie a couple months ago, and like I said, I think it has a good idea to it, but just the execution overall just doesn't really work out well. You have a lot of great talented actors in here. John Turturro, Dennis Farina, Peter Boyle, Stanley Tucci, Stephen Wright, Rod Steiger. Just great characters, just great actors all around, but the idea that they're doing a version of Macbeth like this, it just doesn't work. It's a movie that has a lot of good intentions to it, has a lot of things that could maybe work about it, but they didn't get a good director for this. Like, I think if you got somebody like Martin Scorsese to direct this movie, you definitely would have had something different. Like, you get somebody who could make this type of a story work. Francis Ford Coppola, or I can't remember the name now, Sergio Leone, who did Once Upon a Time in America. I mean, I think those guys could have made this a whole lot better, but as it stands, it's a very underwhelming movie. It's a movie that I wanted to like a lot more because I like the idea of mixing a mob movie with Macbeth from William Shakespeare, and it just didn't work for me. So that's Men of Respect.